Julien, it's great meeting you. Thanks for stopping by here at a pop-up studio at Norway Fintech Festival. For those who haven't had the opportunity to meet you, tell us briefly who you are and what you do.
Perfect. Thank you for having me, Chris. So I'm Julien Furlanetto. I'm the co-founder of Doors3, which is a Web3 consulting agency. We are based in France, but we are expanding ourselves at the European level. And of course, even though at the international level, so in Dubai, mainly in the Middle East region. What we do, we help brands to stay or become leader of their sector by innovating around new technology, especially Web3. That's our main focus. And we have the vision that the brand should innovate right now to prepare the future. So basically, we are a trusted partner to help a brand to have a strategy and then deploy it in the coming years.
Okay, so tell me, what is it that brands usually try to understand when it comes to Web3, being that it's probably a very new environment for most organizations?
Yeah, exactly. So about Web3, there are a lot of myths and false reality. So first, we have a mission, and some projects are simply to acculturate people and, for example, train executive people in a brand or an organization to understand the technology. And at the end, what the brands want is to capture the value. So the main question is, what is the added value? So we are value-oriented, and our way of working is to find a use case, prove how it can generate value to innovate with new technology. Then it's becoming a project. And even though if there is no added value with Web3, we are pretty comfortable to sell to the client. This is not a notion. We do not sell any products. We just sell the best solution, the best use case to help the brand to move forward.
Okay, right, very interesting. Now, we were just having a conversation about a report that your organization recently released about Sports 3.0.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit about that. That's a very intriguing title.
Yeah, exactly. So we used to work for a lot of leaders in the sports sector in France. So the French Football Federation, PSG Football Club, Racing Club Toulonnais in France. It's a famous rugby club, and other ones. And we started to develop a very good vision of what the sports sector need to do to innovate and diversify and find new source of revenue. So what we did is we write a big study. It took us maybe 6 months to write it. We also joined forces with other partners to get some data and have statistics about engagement. And I will give you one statistic that proves some interest. In France, overall in the global population, there is 12% of the people that own crypto assets, so crypto or NFT. When you combine this factor with is this person a sport fan? So in the sport ecosystem, it's 20%.
Okay.
So basically, a sports fan is twice keen into crypto than, let's say, normal people. So the sport industry is looking forward to innovate, and there is a market. So we wanted to write a study to give a lot of insights. So there are interviews of a key decision maker in the sport industry. There are some tips, all our methodology on how to do it, and statistic about what's the market and what will be the market tomorrow.
Okay, and can you help me understand what is the relationship between sports and perhaps Web3 or decentralized finance?
Yeah. So that's a good question. In fact, the relation is, I think, with fan engagement. What we discovered is that with Web3 technology, you have a tool to engage people. You have a tool, for example, to reward people with digital collectibles, to induce a behavior by adding some money can buy experience attached to an NFT or digital collectible. So it's a tool to engage differently. So that's one answer. The other answer is that the sport industry also realized that immersive world, virtual reality, metaverse is also something to develop, because they discover during the COVID crisis that when a stadium is empty, that's a problem. So they need to find no solution. And in a virtual world, you need digital assets. The digital unicity only exists with Web3 technology. So when you combine those, you can define a strategy, saying, okay, I need to have a virtual world experience with my club. plus, let's say, an engagement program, a loyalty program to reward sport fans differently. And there are actually today fan tokens. There are already a loyalty program that we developed for football club, rugby club, and it's working pretty well. In fact, and it's also in the study, we have some results, some KPI that prove that it helps to engage people.
Right. Now, interestingly, you mentioned just a moment ago that in France, 13% of the population own crypto assets.
So 20%.
20%.
When you combine a sport fund and interest and own crypto asset, NFT or crypto, 20% of the people.
Okay, so and you being originally French but living in Sweden, did you see a difference in the level of adoption of crypto and perhaps blockchain solutions, Web3, in between the Nordics and the French market?
That's a very good question, and I'm starting to discover differences and key differences. In France, we are lucky in some point because we have very successful startups such as Ledger or Sora. So Sora is an NFT trading game card, football and baseball. And those companies, Sora or Ledger, are billion-dollar valuation companies. So it gets attention from the public, the government. So now that's a topic in France because there are successful companies that start from zero and get to billion-dollar valuation.
Right.
So we have this context, and now there is this willingness to move forward. I discovered that here in the Nordic country, let's say, because I discovered the Swedish culture, Norwegian. Maybe Nordic countries are at the point that we were in France maybe last year or 2 years ago. There are still some doubts, some question about is worth it to consider the technology. And in the meantime, there are also other hypes about new technology. For example, right now, AI. 2 years ago, it was metaverse, but there are some hypes. And also there are some technology that deep down you should move forward. So I have the feeling that Nordic countries are in this period when there is an hesitation, and that definitely they will move forward at some point because it's already the case in most of the country. The Middle East region especially is moving forward very fast because they try to progress very fast about the sport sector. So some regions are moving very fast, and then at the end, I think all the actors that want to innovate should do it. Right.
Now, I want to ask about your involvement with finance, the French finance innovation, and specifically, I want to understand more about the DeFi space. But I think there's still a gap where traditional finance doesn't fully understand what's in it, what's new about DeFi and all the different modalities for finance. Can you walk me a little bit through those differences?
Yeah, that's a very good question. DeFi has a lot of potential. And so the approach that we have in France, so with finance innovation, the same name that the association hosting this event, is to first try to understand and join forces to capture the interest of behind the topic and find use cases. And then try to establish a common governance to move forward with some topics. So it's taking some time. It's been maybe 1 year that we are discussing around DeFi. And the main focus is now with tokenization. So that's something different but close. So there is an idea that with tokenization of real-world asset, you could leverage an asset that you have, and you cannot leverage it without putting in a digital vehicle. So once you have this ability to tokenize stuff, then you could put it in the decentralized finance and define new products, find new ways to monetize an asset. So looking backwards, at the beginning we were only focusing on DeFi, but if you are looking DeFi as itself, it's already working outside the banking system, and it could be a competitor in some points. But the thing is, as a bank or an insurance company, they should look at something that they can integrate and see it as a value chain, because tomorrow, if they handle to establish or tokenize some assets, on behalf of their client, for example. They could leverage the existing DeFi to boost their product. So we see it as an ecosystem where you should understand first the ecosystem and see how could you leverage your assets to be in the value chain of it. So that's one scenario. Another one is to use this technology to do something in the banking case. All the protocol in the blockchain and DeFi are open source, so it's really easy to get a piece of code that works for many years and use it in banking purposes. So there are also ideas behind that.
Really fascinating, and I think there's still a long way to go from getting in traditional finance to really understand all the possibilities that lie behind DeFi. I guess that's also part of why you're here at Norway Fintech Festival. So I'd love to get your take. What do you think about the event? What do you think about the ecosystem in the Nordics and specifically in Norway? And how is that relevant for the mission that you have with Doors3?
So in fact, in Norway, I'm quite surprised about the number of fintech. It's quite dynamic and impressive. So my feeling is that definitely there is a room to innovate in the fintech sector and around it with DeFi, as you mentioned, tokenization in some point, because there is a mentality, a behavior that I have the feeling that it's innovation oriented. It's also the case in other Nordic countries, but it's really great to see that there is an open mind and will for innovation. So that's actually right now my feedback, and I'm looking forward to know more and see if there is new use cases or fun use cases to develop with corporates that are in the Nordic countries.
Amazing. Well, Julien, thank you very much for stopping by here at our pop-up studio. I wish you have an amazing rest of the event, and it's been great talking to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris.